night to be able to fly there, take on the Portland team who's been beating everybody this year. This thing is just as good as last night's win. And we get to the final 3 minutes, and anything can happen. This bucket by Taylor Horton-Tucker puts the Jazz up 5-1. Simon then converts a couple of free throws. So now the Jazz come down. Jordan Clarkson, he started the game 0 for 5. Knocks down that 3. But a minute 45 puts them up by 2. JC, after Jason Hart misses, decides no more threes. Let me go in the basket. And 1. And gets it to go. Now they're up 5. That's with a minute 15 to go. Portland converts 1 out of 2 after this. The Jazz up 5. You can see JC reacting. And then, of course, look at this one. Gets in the lane. Little pump fake. Little step back. JC goes 3 possessions in a row. 3 hoops in a row. For a 3, and a 2. 8 consecutive points. Puts it out of reach. The Jazz hold on. Dilemma gets to 3 guys in 20. They do hold Portland from having 3 guys in 20, especially Lillard in our pregame. Damian Lillard, by the way, 2 out of 14, 1 of 12 until he left late in the third quarter and did not come back. But I'm telling you what, this win just as gutsy as any win all year, even more so than last night's because of the travel, the back-to-back nature, and losing Mike Conley at some point in the game.
Bill Port proud to go further leading scoring press by your local sports stores. Visit mysportsball.com.
What a game. I was pooping bricks on that one. Man, I was really worried when they took Malik Beasley out because, oh, hang on. I forgot to add all these guys. Oh, no. Okay. Sorry. I thought you guys couldn't hear me again. So, I was scared that they took Malik Beasley out. They kept moving or showing him on the camera, and he looked pissed. And I thought, man, your leading scorer at that point, he actually was a leading scorer. Jordan Clarkson surpassed him barely. Then he hit those free throws. But it's like, well, I'm so glad that Coach put him back in because I just feel like that would have been a blow to him and what he was doing the last 2 games. He hits 6 threes tonight, 42% from the free throw or the 3-point line. And then he shoots 10 for 18, 55% from the field goal and 100% free throw. He's just in the groove right now. He's in the zone. And then you've got Jordan Clarkson, who really struggled tonight and was able to just turn it on right when you needed it. And we've talked a few times on this podcast how, we don't know if we have a guy that can finish games out or get us a bucket towards the end. Last night we see Lauri, I'm going to call him a Lauri Bird now, making a clutch bucket. Jordan Clarkson tonight, even though he has an off night for Jordan Clarkson is 28 points. Shoots 43% from the field goal and 28% from the 3. So really he was off from the 3-point line. Crazy game as far as injuries with Mike Conley doesn't come back. Dame Lillard cramps up, doesn't come back. But I honestly felt like that was the point when Portland really came alive is once Damian Lillard left. Damian Lillard, let's see what he shot. Where are you, Dame? He shot 2 for 14%, and threes, 1 for 12. I've never seen Damian shoot that bad. It helped us, but we lost a guy in Mike Conley, which you could tell down the stretch really, really affected us tonight. I thought THT was the guy that could run the point and be a little bit more composed than Sexton. You had Clarkson run it at times and have his ball in his hands, which I actually think helped him hit those big 3-pointers down the stretch and those big shots down the stretch. Just being the point guard with the ball in your hands and having the the ball instead of having to work to try and get it. But man, let's pass this over. I've got two speakers. Let's go with Tevin first, and then we'll pass it over to Dallin. If any of you other guys or gals want to speak on here, go for it. And before we get too far into this episode, I want to give a shout out to our Finland listeners. We've got Finland. There's a fan base or a listener base growing in Finland. And then France and Germany follow close behind it. So we appreciate you guys listening. If you're listening this, probably a later time, not live, but thanks for listening. So Tevin, let's go to you. Give us your thoughts, man.
Straight off the bat, if Dame knocks at least maybe a fourth, if not a third or half of his shots down, I don't think we win this game at all.
Yeah.
So,
it was a blessing that he didn't hit those.
That he was. I agree. I've never seen Dame shoot that bad. I was like, oh, he's missed like 3 or 4 threes. Okay, he's just we still need to stay on him. As soon as he makes one, we're done for. But then I heard he was like 0 for 8 or something like that. And I'm like, he's 0 for 8? Really?
Yeah.
That's an off night for the man. Goodness sake.
The one shot that he hit
with what, 1 for 12 or 2 for 12 or something like that?
Yeah, he still ended with 13 points, most of them coming from the free throw line, 8 of them. But he did hit that 3-point shot after halftime, which kind of got me worried. So, yeah, and I don't even know how he played against Brooklyn. I know they lost to the buzzer with Royce O'Neal tipping it in the game before this.
Royce on that one. I watched the highlight of him doing it. That was awesome. But Dame was shooting pretty well, if I remember correctly. I saw some of the highlights of that game. He was shooting at least decently, I feel like. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just feel like since he's come back, they've lost more than. I mean, they were on a pretty hot streak. So I even tweeted out it, and I felt crazy tweeting it. Are these Portland Trailblazers better without Damian? I think it kind of lit them because he took 12, 14. I mean, he took a lot of shots. So you got to think these other guys are getting frustrated when he's not making those.
Yeah, I think Nurkic mentally was probably like, all right, Dame is out. Like, I would assume the team probably heard it was like, hey, Dame's out. Like, it's next man up. Let's just keep this going. Let's win by committee at this point. And I wonder if Nurkic in those situations, because he's kind of the next leader, I want to say. I wonder if he's like, all right, guys, let's pull together. Let's get this done. Follow me. Let's get going. I wonder if that's the mentality, or if it's just a true win by committee type of mentality. I don't know.
Well, looking at the box score and even pregame, I feel like the Blazers are really well constructed. Everything as far as points looks pretty even. You got Josh Hart with 19. Jeremy Grant scores 14. Nurkic scores 18. Simons scores 23. He was their leading scorer. And when he was getting hot, I was worried about that too. Lillard 13, Eubanks 13. And then you got Little that came off the bench. I think he hit a few big 3-pointers with 8. So like they're a well-rounded team. Once they get Gary Payton in there too, I mean,
forgot they had Gary Payton.
Yeah, he's gonna wreak havoc. I mean, they're gonna be a tough matchup for anybody.
I guarantee you, if we had lost this game, highlights would have been of freaking Eubanks and his, what was you say, like 13 points or whatever he had. Man, goodness sake, he went off against us, man. Between Olynyk and Markkanen, just getting some rebounds and putbacks, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, and Kessler, I've been high on him. He's not there. I think he's almost taken a step backwards from the beginning of the season, but Olynyk just banging underneath with Nurkic all night. Like, Nurkic is a big dude compared to Olynyk, and Olynyk was able to pick up a charge, but you can tell how bad we need someone defensively for big guys, especially, the Embiid, the Sixers game with Embiid. Then you got Porzingis. So that's a whole.
Nurkic is a big guy because I still remember Rudy faced stuff against him, and I think Rudy was
Yeah.
an inch or two taller than him, but just as big, if not possibly bigger. I feel like.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Nurkic is 260 something like that, 250. He's not he's a big man. So
yeah, he's a big dude, and his trouble is staying healthy. But I mean, I feel like he could be so dominant. Dallin, let's pass it over to you. What stood out to you besides those last shots by Jordan Clarkson? There's a lot of moments, but I know once we get to the fourth quarter and in those critical minutes and the closing minutes, you tend to forget other things. So maybe you can help us out.
Yeah, Malik Beasley keeping us in the game with hitting his shots. He actually was the leading scorer by 1 point. That guy has been on fire for honestly, when he touches the ball and shoots it from the three, I just want him to jack it up every time.
It looks so pure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And who else? Jordan Clarkson. I mean, obviously, with the way he closed out the game, he struggled. I mean, he struggled for the first 3 quarters and just keep plugging away, and eventually, especially with I don't know when Mike Conley went out, that the team could have fell apart then, and they regrouped back together. Taylor Horton-Tucker did well filling in for him. I feel like Colin Sexton had a few plays where he kind of slowed down and calmed down and didn't go balls to the walls crazy. Lauri Markkanen, another solid game. He had a double-double. Just so many things. It really exciting just to see them perform so well on a back-to-back on the road.
Yeah.
It tells me a lot about this team. So.
Yeah, I think it does. Like you said, it easily could have fallen apart when Mike Conley came out. And for them to somehow figure this out, Malik Beasley comes out at the end, and I'm thinking, okay, you got to keep him in, but who do you take out? Either Clarkson or THT. And they didn't do either one of those. They took out Olynyk and then put Malik Beasley in for Olynyk, which we went small ball. And I thought, if I'm the Blazers, I put Nurkic back in and get me some easy buckets, because
that's what I was afraid of. Oh my goodness. No, big shout out to Will Hardy for reading the room, because the Blazers were getting momentum when Kelly Olynyk and Nurkic were going at it. And Will Hardy's like, all right, Kelly, sit down for a minute because we need to settle this down. Just big props to Will Hardy there.
Well, speaking of Will Hardy, he's on, so give me a second. I'm going to turn the mic over to him. It's our daily, or our new ritual is listening to Coach.
Stuck with it, hung in, had a great second quarter, went into halftime with the lead, came out, played very well early in the third. And then in the second half, the Blazers, as all good NBA teams do, they made their run, and their home crowd got into it, and they put a lot of pressure on us, and our guys responded, and we had a lot of big plays made down the stretch by a lot of people. I thought Jordan, down the stretch of the game, made some really, really big plays. I thought Lauri was outstanding tonight. They drew a lot of he drew a lot of attention. He did a very good job playing physically through a lot of contact. Made some good decisions for us. And then obviously Bees off the bench was huge, scoring 29 points, a lot of big shots. Those free throws at the end were big. But somebody in particular, I think that really stepped up tonight was Talon. Mike going down, you never want to see that leaving the game. And I thought Talon, his defense first was very good on Damian Lillard. Did a great job setting the tone for us, and really settled us down and ran the team well during his minutes. So very happy for Talon. He works really hard, and for him to step up in that moment, not easy to do, and he delivered for us. First of all, do you have any update on Mike's condition? At the moment, we are awaiting the results on some further imaging, but he's in very good spirits and walking around, and very hopeful.
Lauri had a little longer than normal sub out first quarter to second quarter. What was the reason for that?
I thought that second group was playing well. It was the second night of a back-to-back, and so made the decision to try to steal any minutes possible for he and Mike. Taylor was playing well, so I told Mike, hey, this group keeps playing well. You might not go back in. It's the second night of a back-to-back and want you to have some legs for the second half. Same thing with Lauri. It was just I thought that group had some good mojo at the moment, and those guys exert a lot of energy on both ends, so it was more trying to play the long game for the second half.
Taylor's kind of been a recurring theme throughout this year, so I guess what did you see out of him beyond what you brought up already in terms of his, I guess, kind of capacity to keep things steady, taking over for Mike down the stretch?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just the general poise that he played with on the road. Second night of a back-to-back, their team's making a run, their crowd's going crazy, and he didn't flinch. He just stayed the course and executed what we wanted to do. Continued to play hard defensively for us, and just stepped up. Like, those moments are hard when you're on the road, and when you're thrust into a role that you haven't had yet this season to close the game. So I thought just his general poise throughout the second half was remarkable.
Game gets tight down the stretch, and Jordan really seemed to kind of take it upon himself to kind of take over in a few moments. I think he had several baskets in a run of 15 points before. What were you seeing out of him down the stretch?
Yeah, Jordan wanted the ball. Jordan has made a lot of really good decisions for us closing games. We had experienced a game where Mike didn't play against Memphis earlier in the year, and Jordan made a lot of really good decisions down the stretch. And so Portland was switching at the time, and we felt like if we gave Jordan proper spacing, that he could make some good decisions and have the ability to attack, for himself or for a teammate, depending on what the defense showed him. I really just love the fact that he mixed it up down the stretch. He didn't just settle for jump shots over a big. He drove the ball very well, got to the basket, hit a pull-up or a little mini fadeaway in the middle of the paint, hit the three ball. He did a good job showing his full ability on the offensive end. So I just think that his experience really, really showed in those moments.
We talked a little bit about it before with kind of his vision and his ability to distribute. Tonight, it seemed like he was getting off the ball quicker. We were talking about trying to make decisions like one step quicker. Were you surprised? Because it seemed like yesterday he was still one step slow, and today, like in a big moment.
Yeah, it's similar to the conversation that we had about Colin pregame. The progress doesn't move in a straight line. There's a little bit of up and down. And, I think it was 3 games ago, Taylor had 10 assists. And then he had a couple games where he maybe overran that point of decision a little bit. And I think tonight he's been watching a lot of film and working on it a ton. And I think it clicked a little bit tonight. He knows that it's an ongoing process because we do think that Taylor, along with Colin, they have such an ability to put pressure on a defense one-on-one because they're hard to keep out of the paint. And so we're just continuing to work on their decision-making, and they're very bought into, trying to get their teammates shots when they can, and using their gift or their strength for the betterment of the team. So, again, just really happy for Taylor tonight to step up in a big game like that in a moment where we needed him. And he delivered for us.
Coach did say that they're waiting for some more imaging on Mike Conley, but said he was in good spirits. I think this would go to that point. Let's go. Huge W. Mike Conley tweeting from the locker room. Hashtag take note. Will Hari also, Mike, talking a lot about how the bench kept them in this game, especially early.
Looks like Mike Conley is on the good old Twitter. So as coach was talking about the minutes Mike Conley played, and then you had that second group that was hot, I looked over at the box score. Mike only got 9 minutes, and he had 3 assists, 0 points, and 1 rebound. So, take this win for what it is, but that's another huge point that we haven't even hit on yet is Mike Conley was really not that big a factor in this game. We won the game essentially without Mike Conley in my mind. I don't think he stood out a ton. Obviously, maybe he got the offense going a few times, but like Coach said, THT takes over the point guard position, and the crowd is loud. I mean, they took the lead at one point in the fourth quarter and were able to pull it off. So huge there. I want to get to comments real quick. And Dallin says, Damian Lillard was -17 to lead the Blazers in plus minus. So that's kind of goes to my point where I felt that the Trailblazers were a little bit better without him tonight. And then Lalo at Jazzman_12 says that's Jazzketball. You're damn right. That's Jazzketball. That is Jazzketball. And it continues to become more and more addicting the more that this team wins, because I mean, we lose 3 in a row, and then I really had these games circled with Phoenix and Portland. One, they're in the Western Conference, but they're also atop the Western Conference with us. And so I thought these 2 games were huge, and to be able to pull them off was massive to show us and the league that we are legitimate. And I know a lot of people are saying that they still want to tank, which just doesn't make sense to me. But we've got a lot of new people in here listening. If you guys want to speak, go ahead and request. While we were listening to Coach, Armani came on. I accepted you to speak. But Dallin, did you have anything else to say? I know that you got cut off. You always seem to get cut off by Coach.
Hey, if I get cut off by him, I'm okay with that.
As long as he keeps winning.
The second unit, I think that's the story of the game. Second unit, man. The Taylor Horton Tucker, obviously, Coach touched on that. So, yeah. But, yeah, no, turn the time over to Armani.
Armani, it's all yours. I really do think our second unit is so strong where that walk-off interview by Malik says, we all feel like we're starters. And I don't think he's the only one. I had that thought tonight as well, especially when we came out slow. And I just thought, man, it always feels like once our second unit comes in, that's when we really kick things into gear.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think at one point, to that point, our bench to their bench, it was like a score. The difference was like 37 to like 8 or something like that, something in that neighborhood. And I think it was at halftime. So I don't know what the difference is here at the end of the game, but like just to that point, like our bench is I didn't think it was going to be that deep, but clearly it is that deep, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and it gives Coach a lot of flexibility depending on what the matchups are, what he's wanting to do. Exactly like the last few minutes, 3 minutes, I think Malik came in and we went small ball, which, the counter for that could have been Nurkic come in and just go to town again. So Armani, welcome again and take it away.
How y'all doing, guys? I have a weird thing while I was watching the game. We don't have a go-to lineup. I struggle to sit there and try to figure out what our go-to lineup is. I understand, like, when we go into the last, clutch minutes, like about 4 minutes, the 4-minute marker in the fourth quarter, we throw in that, that Mike Conley, the Mike Beasley, JC, Lauri, and Olynyk. But like, other than that, that's cool. But like, when the offense is looking shaky and the lead is not looking too good, our bench does a great job. But like, I feel like we lit up leads in weird spots of the games, and I can't really explain it. Like, it's weird. It's weird watching it.
Yeah, I think it's partially like to our advantage because other teams don't know who we're going to be finishing, but it can be a detriment as well, just because, like you said, you don't know who the ball is going to go to. I think it's so early with this team that we're probably still trying to figure it out. My feel for Coach is that he likes the veterans as far as Olynyk, Markkanen, Clarkson, and Conley. and then you can kind of swap out maybe Vanderbilt or somebody that's hot. So I like tonight he tried it. He put in all the vets with 5 minutes and it just didn't work. And then thank God he put Malik Beasley back in. But I think as the season goes along, we'll start getting to know who those guys are. I think these two games are really big in figuring that out, with Lauri Markkanen last night hitting a big shot. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's always on the floor to end the game. Honestly, I know me and you, Armani, are high on Malik Beasley, and I think that he's going to be one of those guys eventually. I know he comes off the bench, which is a great role for him right now, but I also think that he needs to be a finisher. And then Clarkson, I mean, you saw tonight, he's so cold almost the whole night. He had 13 points until the third quarter, they showed. And then in the fourth quarter, he has 15. So I feel like you can't ever count out Jordan Clarkson. So there's three guys that can get you a bucket in my mind: Lauri, Jordan, and Beasley with the way that he shoots. And then if you've got Conley in there kind of running things and he's open, he can hit a shot. And then Olenek, Vanderbilt, I feel like if you need defense, it's to me kind of a beautiful thing that we have so many different options on how to close to also keep the other team off balance a little bit.
Can I jump in really quick? So
go for it.
No, so while I would if we could have a starting, not necessarily a starting lineup, but like a finishing lineup where we know who's going to be on the floor and they're going to close it out for us, get it done. That'd be great. However, counterpoint, and I think to your point, is I'm okay with not knowing who is going to be hot and who's going to pull it out on us, because the other team doesn't know who's going to go off and like they thought, oh, it either is going to be Markkanen or JC or Beasley. Like it could be any one of these guys. We don't know. We're just gonna have to keep playing defense. But that, I think, is the beauty of it, is nobody knows who's going to be it, because the guys are just talented enough, I feel like, that Will Hardy just kind of reads the room and so far as reading who is on fire and ready to get mismatched and whatnot, and they just go out and play and make plays. So
yeah.
I think it's
I'm right there with you, because like in the NFL, if a running back is hot, like they keep feeding him the ball. And to me, a good coach is able to know who's hot and what you need at that point. And I think Will Hardy has done that up to this point, and that's why we're in the number 1 seed in the Western Conference right now, because he's able to pull strings like that. I also think that if a player like Malik Beasley has that hot of a game and then he doesn't finish, that's really demotivating to a player. Like, you know, I'm out here busting my ass for the team. I'm the leading scorer. I'm on fire shooting above 50% basically. And I'm not going to be able to finish because, you know, Mike Conley's a veteran or whatever. And so, yeah, I don't think that we need to know that yet, especially because we're winning. Colin, I see that you're here from South Carolina.
Well, my pressing issue is not the closing lineup. I don't necessarily care about the closing lineup. I feel like whoever's hot, that's cool. But my thing is, in the middle of the game, we have these weird lines. It's not weird lineups, but these lineups that don't work.
Yeah.
In the spots that they're being used, and then we lose a lead and the offense gets stale. I don't like. It's just like there's nobody who gets the ball and we could just be like, all right, cool, great. Sometimes
that's a fair point.
That's what I really was alluding to, not the closing line.
Yeah, and like,
I think
go ahead.
I noticed the switch tonight where coach was playing Markkanen with more of the backups, just to give the more of an offense. I mean, they were great tonight, so not to take away from what they were doing, but I did notice that we were experimenting more with having some of the starters with some of the backups.
There was a point where Lauri and THT were on the court at the same time, and I believe it was I want to say Damian Lillard and Jeremy Grant setting a screen, and they were switching it every time, and it was like no big deal on whether Markkanen guarded Lillard or THT did, and vice versa on Jeremy Grant. So that was something that I picked up. Like, man, that would be awesome if Talen Horton-Tucker, a bigger guard, can handle the offense, but also not give up what Mike Conley's giving up on defense and being able to switch whatever they need, because that makes it a lot tougher for other teams to try and pick us apart. As you saw last time with Walker Kessler not being able to switch on any screens on the game last night. So
I feel like the THT is a very, very he's a special player. I can't really explain it. Where he's just weird, and he plays a great brand of defense that is very versatile. He can guard. He can pretty much guard 1 through 4.
yeah,
Not all 4s, but some 4s. And that switch off between him and Lauri, it makes it good because Lauri is he's a decent perimeter defender, but it causes extreme mayhem for smaller guards. And then if there was a switch off to where there was a big, Lauri he can somewhat handle a big, unless it's like a bruiser, he can handle the big. So it's like it's a great. I like how that look. I like that whatever chemistry they have together. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be fun moving forward, especially with different matchups that we have. Tanner, I know that you just requested. I want to try and go to Colin first in South Carolina. Colin, you need to request first, but so let's go to Tanner and then.
Juicy Drip.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying Jazz Tunes raised his hand. I don't know if he's wanted to.
I don't know if you were waving Jazz Tunes or raising your hand, but go ahead and request if you want to speak. We're going to go over to Tanner real quick, and then Colin, if you request or want to speak, we'll hit you up next. So, Tanner, welcome, man. I don't even know the score of the Utes game. I was trying to pay attention, but
you're not missing much. The Utes are losing.
Dang it! All right, well,
it's tied now.
Yeah. No, is it really?
You're right.
Yeah, it's 17-17.
Yeah, it's tied. I just looked up the score just now.
All right, well, let's talk Jazz, and then maybe if they win, we'll talk Utes. If not, we'll bypass it.
So 2 things. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. First, I feel like the main weakness of this team, and I can't even describe. I can't figure out why, but we are so bad in transition defense.
Awful.
We give up so many 3-pointers wide open in transition and layups. And I feel like that comes down to effort. I know we're not super athletic, but if we could clean that up, I really think we could improve a lot.
I think it's a mix between effort and communication, because I think there was one I'm trying to figure out a way to describe this. There was like a camera angle where it caught Coach Hardy on the sideline coaching the guys, and I could definitely make out Coach using his hands doing like a duck like talks signal. And I'm like, yes, they need to talk. They need to communicate. And I feel like especially on transition D, that's a big – I mean, obviously defense in general is where you obviously talk, but – especially in transition defense, it's somebody calls out who has the ball, who has who, and match up very quickly. And even if you're behind the ball, you still have to call out and say, hey, I got this guy, or whatever it is, and they're just not communicating.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating watching our transition defense. The other thing, this might be an unpopular opinion, but Kelly Olynyk bugs me. I just wish he would. I wish he would focus on playing basketball instead of trying to draw fouls all the time. And like the last 2 nights, Hardy has taken him out in the closing lineup because, I mean, to be honest, I know his plus minus has been good, but he's been really bad the last 2 games, I've thought.
Yeah, I wanted to hit on that too, because like I agree with you with the flopping, and I think he's almost got a reputation around the league where there are fouls that he's not getting, but he flops so much that they don't know whether or not to call it or not.
Yeah, he flails way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
And so like there's times where, yeah, it's a foul and it should have been called, but I understand why they don't call it, because it's like, dude, if you cut your hair, it won't look like you're flopping as much. I don't know. Uriah Faber, when he was getting knocked out, he talked about that. He would always put his hair in cornrows because he said the judges would judge the fights wrong because he felt like every time he got hit, his hair would bounce. And so he ended up putting it in cornrows, and maybe Kelly needs a new look with those cornrows. But yeah, Kelly bugs too. If he's not hitting shots, it's hard to watch, honestly. And he's just kind of undersized too with Nurkic. It's like, man, toughen up. And
I mean, Lauri guards center.
Wait, because see, I watch some Portland games. I watch a lot of Portland games because one of my friends is a Portland fan. Nurkic fouls all game.
Oh yeah, he had so many offensive fouls, but I just don't think they're gonna call it for Olynyk.
That shit right there is crazy.
Yeah, he's a dirty player, dude.
He's super dirty.
Well, and Olynyk got smart enough and finally took a charge on one of them, but it's like, dude, you got to time that stuff perfectly.
Yeah, because the rest don't really give you those type of favors. So
yeah. Well, we've got next. We are heading to the Clippers again, and then we're back home to play Detroit, which we said with the Wizards that it should be an easy win, and the Knicks. So hopefully,
but Bogey's coming back. So
I know
he's probably gonna have
he'll
a
go
big
off.
game on us.
He'll have his career night. Colin says sitting this one out tonight, just going to listen for a little 1 a.m. Yeah, don't blame you being in South Carolina. And then Reddit Utah Jazz says because we are the best offensive rebounding team in the NBA. Is that true? Are we? I know we're up there.
I think we are.
I feel like between Vanderbilt
I think we're number one in second chance points.
Okay.
I think he's probably right. Between V8, Vanderbilt, and Kessler here and there, and then Markkanen, all those guys are. I think I've counted more offensive rebounds from this team, probably times 10, maybe, than the last. Probably 3 seasons of teams.
Well, and that to kind of hit on that point, that could be a reason why we're so bad in transition.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, coach could be putting an emphasis on offensive rebounding, getting second chance points, and kind of taking his chances on getting back on defense.
Yeah, because if the corners crash.
Yeah.
So if the corners crash, who's going to get back on the defense besides, it's usually the two guards at the top, and they're not stopping them. Mike Conley and JC or Colin Sexton is not stopping the fast break.
Yeah. And I think I noticed a little bit of a difference, THT picking the ball up early. I think Mike Conley has to be able to do that to help our transition defense. And I think that he's still used to last year's team where, we really didn't crash the offensive boards that hard, maybe one guy. And so my thought is Mike Conley might just out of habit be dropping back. And I noticed THT when he was in the transition defense looked a little bit better, and he was picking the ball up beyond half court, like immediately once they got it. And I think that just slows down the fast break for the other team. So it'll be interesting to see if Mike Conley comes back or if THT kind of takes over. I also feel like Malik Beasley could actually run the point guard if we had to, but also like kind of like two guard, THT and Malik Beasley, either one of them could run the point. What do you guys think?
I think Jordan Clarkson more than Beasley.
Yeah. And those are the last. Those are the three guards in at the end, that can handle the ball and run the offense if needed. So that's a luxury.
Yeah, actually, I really like THT at point guard because we all know his weakness is he can't shoot. But if you put the ball in his hands, then they have to guard him. They can't sag off of him and help in the paint. So I do like THT at point guard, and he's big enough that he can bully smaller guards and finish around the rim.
Yeah,
well, that's why it looks so good off the bench. That's exactly why it looks so good off the bench, because him and Colin Sexton, Sexton is a speed and THT is just brute force going on the straight line. Sometimes he do miss wide open layups because of that, but it don't matter. It's like I'm not gonna complain. It's like, all right, cool, because if that happens one time, the next time the defense is gonna crash down, he can kick it to the corner. So I'm not gonna complain about it.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like THT is almost a Darren Williams in the making. I know his shooting may not be the best, but he has hit those 3-pointers, the step backs, and he can hit a shot and create his own shot. The thing I really like about THT is he just plays under control. So if you need someone more like Mike Conley to keep you under control, he's a great option. What do you guys think about Sexton? Because it just seems like he's in a tailspin right now. Like, is he going to be able to figure it out? Are we going to?
He's still figuring it out.
He's definitely still figuring it out. I don't know. And I've been wondering if he's going to have a breakout game at any point, and just if it's just going to click all of a sudden and he'll figure it out and he just gets it and goes, or if this is going to be a gradual process. And I'm leaning more towards gradual process, but I don't know.
What exactly are y'all looking for from Sexton, though?
Well, so I guess the big thing in my mind, sorry, I think I'm getting sick. The big thing in my mind is he had that game against Denver where he had 2 big buckets against Jokic. He had one, he's a little step back at the free throw line, and then he attacked Jokic and scored. And so in my mind, it's like, all right, like, yeah, to me, it was like, all right, like Sexton, like he's going to be back in his old form, scoring 25 points a game. And I guess I'm disappointed in everything altogether. To me, defensively, I thought he would be more dominant defensively, but then offensively, he just seems out of control all the time.
He's never been a good defender. It looks good. It looks good. It looks good on tape the way he plays.
He talks too much on for me personally, I felt like Mike Conley would really take Colin under his wing and show him to be like, hey, this is when you need to be calm. This is when you need to be aggressive, and just kind of show him those very veteran looks and how to approach things. And I just don't feel like Colin's really got it yet, or maybe if he has got it, he hasn't showed us that he's got it.
Maybe that's why he's the young bull. He's just too bullheaded.
Young bull,
very, very still bullheaded. But
he needs a sponsorship with Red Bull.
I was at the Jazz game last night and against the Suns, and I saw multiple times where Sexton drives and just misses guys open, and immediately after the play, he would like grab his head, or he realizes that he's missing guys, but it's just not in his nature to be pass first. And so I think we all expected when we made that trade, I mean, we all knew that he averaged 24 in a season with the Cavs. So we probably thought he would do that for the Jazz. But in reality, Conley is good for him, but he needs to be playing next to a big point guard. That way he can just go score and not have to worry about any of the point guard duties, because reality is he is not a very good passer.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they call him Young Bull. Once he gets the hoop in his sights, he's gone. He ain't looking for anybody else. That's what a bull does, man.
Well, the one thing that
he did a couple times tonight.
The one thing that everybody needs to really just like hone in is that it takes about 5 years to really see where a player is at in his game, and he only played. And really just about 3 seasons, and within the last 2 seasons, he's only played about 28, 29 games. So he just needs some time to really just figure some of these things out. The passing, I don't know. I think it's going to take him another 2 years to figure that out.
2 decades.
We have Conley on the books for next season too.
He'll learn how to kick out on the corner, or have a little bit more patience when he gets to the mid range. And I don't know. I don't know what. I love Sexton, but at the same time, I don't know. He's just like, he's one of those players where I look at him and he's just like, he brings a lot to the table scoring wise, but he makes a lot of boneheaded plays on offense sometimes, and then on defense, he's a little bit too aggressive to the point where it looks great, and it sometimes it causes mayhem, but sometimes he overplays it, and then there's a extra kick that happens, and then he's out of place, and then
look, I'm just asking him to shift down a gear. Like he's always in the top gear. Like you don't even have to shift down to the third gear. Like just
you ask him to do that, we won't get as many fouls as we get, because that's the thing. That's the thing that he does bring to the table, is that he gets to the line, and we don't have enough players who get to the line.
Yeah. Hey, we've got like 17 guests in here. If you guys want to speak, go ahead and request. We've got Tajin here that's been requesting. So, Tajin, I'm going to give the mic over to you. Tell us if you think that we're idiots or that we're really smart.
What's up, guys?
What up, man?
Hey, speaking of, I was just going to add about Sexton. It looked like earlier in the year, he was closing out games with him and Clarkson. I was thinking it was going to be between them two, as far as like our go-to guys. And now recently, it looks like we've got Beasley has been playing really well. And of course, Markkanen. But I feel like Sexton now, he's kind of like in that no man's land, because I feel like he doesn't know where his role is right now. Because Horton Tucker is now, it looks like he's going to be the point guard, like running the point, like for the second unit. And now with Conley out, he should be running the first unit. So I don't know where Sexton's going to fit in. I felt like earlier in the season when he got onto this team, I thought he was kind of trying to prove, put his mark on the team to show that he was going to be the guy on the team. And I don't think it's working out for him right now. He's kind of playing like he's trying to like prove himself. He wants to sort of like, be that guy that he was in Cleveland when he was scoring 24 points a game. But I don't know. Right now it's looking like we'll see how it goes with Conley being out, how they're going to shuffle this rotation and how's he going to be included. But I mean, at this rate, I don't know. I mean, we could be looking to offload him if Beasley keeps playing the way he is. So
yeah,
what do you think about offloading him?
Yeah, I agree with you. The thing with Colin, I feel like there's a spot for him on this team and something to do. I remember him saying that he feels like he's a starter, and maybe he was trying to prove that he's better than Mike Conley or something to that degree, and it hasn't worked out for him. So he's almost pressing the situation and trying to force things more than he was in the beginning of the season. That's ultimately probably how I feel right now, is that he's forcing everything. And defensively, you can do that, but offensively, like, man, you got to slow down and see what your team's doing and what the defense is doing. And he just doesn't do that. Young bull at his finest. But I don't know if I want to bring this topic back up, but the John Collins, I kind of,
I was just about to ask about that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I kind of went down the rabbit hole today on John Collins, and man, I can't help but think he would be such an upgrade to Vanderbilt. Would you guys be willing to trade Colin Sexton and Jared Vanderbilt for John Collins? Because I actually haven't thought about that.
No. Yes.
I would do it.
Absolutely.
I would do it personally.
Yeah, I would.
I would pull the trigger on that tonight.
Who is saying no?
John Collins is a Kelly Olynyk.
I'm saying no because I won't. I'm not giving up both of them.
But you're going to have to give up 2 players, or you're going to have to give up. Well, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Rudy only
So
makes 5.
I think Rudy, to me, is automatically in it. So it would actually be Vanderbilt, Rudy, and Sexton, or Vanderbilt, Rudy, and draft picks.
Want Sexton, though.
Yeah, I don't either. But he's one that I'm would
because I think they will want shooting.
Yeah.
Can we put Olynyk in it instead?
Yeah.
Sure.
But oh man.
As long as we get Miles Turner.
The lineups get funky if we give Olynyk up.
Yeah, that's what I.
John Collins can play center. I mean,
no. I believe so too. I just don't know about the bench.
Yeah, you
I don't
still
know.
got
I
Kessler.
just feel like we'd be undersized with him at center. But
So I
league's-
guess
the league's trend is to have guys that are all on the outside. I get it. So, yeah.
I guess the
He
other
could play
question
center.
is, do you guys feel like there is going to be a John Collins trade? I know that the Suns were interested in him also. Do you think they have more to deal or want him worse than the Jazz?
Is he trade eligible?
They would fuck. I feel like they'll fuck up their team if they do that. So I don't think they're gonna pull that.
Who, Phoenix?
Yeah, I think the Suns got a decent.
Yeah,
Is
I
he-
think. Yeah, I don't think.
Or
Phoenix
does
will take that chance.
have to wait until the trade deadline?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
my
I think-
thought
yeah,
with
I think
Phoenix
it's a
was
desperation.
they've got Jay Crowder basically in exile. Maybe they're willing to trade Jay Crowder and draft picks or something for Collins. I don't know if that works.
Possibly,
I don't think Atlanta wants that, though.
Possibly, but I don't know how that's
With
going to work.
Phoenix
Yeah,
being so
it's
good,
just
that
putting
draft
John
picks will
Collins
be
back in the same situation that he's in right now, because DeAndre Ayton doesn't really help, and Clint Capella's better than DeAndre Ayton.
I mean, to me, John Collins is the same player as Vanderbilt, wingspan, length, but he's better offensively. And I'd rather, I mean, with this offensive-minded team, I'd rather have offense because I don't think.
will say that Vanderbilt brings a defensive pressure on guards that we don't have.
Is Vanderbilt healthy?
Yeah,
I don't know.
he likes to play crash all game,
Yeah.
so I can't really tell you if he's healthy or not. He just likes to run into people.
But the Suns do have some wing players that maybe the Hawks would like. I don't know.
Vanderbilt reminds me of one of those guys that's just so athletically gifted that's why he's in the league, because he's not smart. He's not a good shooter. He's athletically gifted.
Did you guys see him smack Nick Lillard for no reason?
No.
I'm watching the game. I'm like, bro, why?
Yeah, just the fouls that he
Why do
picks
you
up,
run
like
around this?
the one at the end where he fouls the guy at half court. Josh Hart sweeps underneath his arms and fouls him at half court and gets 2 shots. It's like, bro.
It's fun that he's this aggressive, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah.
I did see JC smack Josh Hart in the face.
So, question, guys.
Yeah.
About John Collins. Salary-wise, you could do Olynyk and Rudy Gay, or you could do like Olynyk and Nikhil Alexander-Walker or something like that. If let's say you don't give up one of our younger guys like Vanderbilt or Sexton, how many picks do you think you'd have to include to get John Collins? Because if it's Olynyk, Rudy Gay, and 1 pick, you do that in a second.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is that okay? Y'all, the Hawks. You got to think about the leverage of the Hawks. They don't use John Collins correctly.
No.
So they can't really pull on the fact that, oh yeah, we need a big package. They can't do that. He's not playing well, so they can't ask for an extremely big package. So I think a Kelly Olynyk or Rudy Gay, it may be a first, but I really would like to say a second. I think that should suffice.
Yeah, I do think that we overvalue John Collins quite a bit. So
if John Collins was going to get traded for that little, he would have been traded by now.
Yeah, but if Phoenix is our option, Phoenix is only offering Jay Crowder and maybe a first round pick.
Yeah, it's true. They're comparable deals, depending on if they like Kelly Olynyk /
At least you get 2 shooters out of that situation, which is what they need.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think the player that the Hawks would be most interested in is Olynyk because he's a big guy that can shoot.
Right.
Yeah, he'd be really good with Trae Young.
Yeah.
He'll be very good with Trae Young, with Dejounte Murray, and he could space out for Clint Capella. So it's just like, yeah.
Well, we've got quite a full space in here. We have some new listeners that I don't recognize. Mike running on a track, Dumpster Fire, Ryan, someone with a bunch of Jerry Sloan pictures. Let's see, Pick and Roll, parody account. Mark Seguin with some snowboarding and Donovan Mitchell in the middle. If any of you guys want to speak, we would love to hear from you. JC Drip, you've been real quiet tonight. Usually you speak. Do you have anything that you want to say? And then we've also got, I won't miss you, JFA, Jazz Fans, Pedal Faster Sue. I recognize you in here. And Sandy Millennia, you've been coming quite regularly. Do you just come to listen to us so that you can laugh in the background, or do you have any hot takes? So, looking at the box score before the game, I said I really wanted us to keep our turnovers under 15, and we did that tonight with 13. It felt like we didn't. The Portland Trailblazers had 17, and there was another. Oh, they actually had 5 more assists than us, which was surprising to me because I feel like we usually move the ball pretty well.
It seemed like during the first half, Jordan Clarkson was going to give him 15 turnovers. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm like. It felt like we had the 17 turnovers and they had the 13, but it's like, okay, cool, I'll take it.
There was times tonight where Jordan Clarkson gets into the lane and like was so hesitant to shoot it. Like, what happened to him? Last year he would just pivot so many times and eventually shoot it. Like, is he too tired to do that, or what?
I think he's just trying to get to the free throw line, trying to see where he can get.
I feel like coach is asking him to like distribute the ball more.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, he is like the second or first scoring option on our team,
especially when a lot of the times when he gets into that paint area, the restricted area, Lauri will cut or Vando. So it's like, you might as well see if you can keep the ball alive and see if you can get the pass. But at the same time, some of those dump balls end up as turnovers anyway.
Yeah.
So
Well, I definitely think it was an off night, but still he scores 28. So it was good to see. We're going to head over to JFA. They just requested to speak. So let's go. And before I hand the mic over, the Utes just intercepted the ball from the Oregon Ducks, and they're down by 3, heading the other way with 5 minutes to go. So let's go, Utes. Go ahead, JFA. Pedal faster, Sue. You there? Or did she?
Oh, there we go. There was a microphone I had to click.
I've done that the last 2 episodes where I've been muted for like 15 to 20 minutes, so don't feel bad.
Okay, well, this is definitely the first time I've ever done this, so I feel out of sorts, out of place on this. But
just take a deep breath and slow down, and everything will be fine.
I wanted to go back to your Olynyk comments. And I know that lots of people don't like him, and I don't particularly like him. I'm not like big on him by any means. But
she likes his long hair.
Oh yeah, so hot. I think he's a good distraction.
Okay, that's fair.
And I think that he adds an element of like not surprise, but of annoyance to other teams.
Yeah.
To give kind of some of our other guys some good open looks and get kind of like a distraction away from what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
He is a better big man than we've had, so I will say that.
I'll agree too. As far as like on the offensive end, he's great for spacing because anytime he gets the ball, they're not sagging off of him, which
right.
Yeah, I could see how it could be a distraction. Like, hey, we got to get out on Olynyk because he can hit the 3, but then it opens up something else up for another player. So
yeah. So I think in that aspect, he's been great. Yeah, he might not be great in other ways, but I've been glad to have him in some situations.
Yeah, like that game winner.
Yeah, that was a great one.
He is a great passing big. I do give you that too.
Yeah. See, this is exactly why I love other people speaking that haven't spoke, because it makes you think about things that we just sit and probably say the same thing over and over. But yeah, I totally agree that he could be a distraction, even being a menace defensively.
Right.
Where if he's guarding one of their better players, they're wondering if he's going to take a charge or not. So maybe that's the beauty that Danny Ainge saw in him and why he decided to pick him up. I mean, you got to remember we traded Bojan basically for Olynyk. So that's another good question. Would you guys rather have Bojan back or keep Kelly Olynyk?
Kelly.
Baby.
Kelly, really? We've already moved on that fast from Bojan.
No way.
We didn't move on. It's just that, I mean, who's going to replace Kelly on this roster?
Yeah. That's a fair point.
And I feel like Bojan just wasn't ever that effective defensively either.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, the real question now is, are the Utes going to be able to pull this off, or are they going to mess the bed like they usually do? Does anybody even care about the Utes? I mean, it's kind of exciting. They're ranked number 10 in the nation.
I haven't even followed them this year.
Cam Rising's awesome.
Yeah, he is pretty awesome.
He's running the ball right now. 1st and 10.
One thing I do want to say about Kelly Olynyk, didn't Danny Ainge, not draft him, but wasn't he with the Celtics?
Yeah.
So Danny probably has good experience or has history with him. So
and
that makes sense.
He's had good games for Boston in the playoffs too. So, I feel like he's someone that you can kind of trust. I think Hardy trusts him, and like you said, I bet Danny. Oh, Cam just threw an interception. Dang it. I feel like Danny trusts him from the Boston days and their playoff runs. Dang it. Now I'm kind of sad. I'm not that big of a Utes fan, but come on. All right. Well, we'll see you guys back on Monday. I'm getting sick. I can already tell. So I'm going to cut this short. Follow us on YouTube as well.
I was just going to say.
I need a lot more than that.
Maybe some ivermectin.
Yeah. No ivermectin. Yeah, I've already done that. So we are streaming on YouTube now every post game. So go follow us on there, subscribe, follow us on whatever podcast you listen to, and most importantly, follow us on Twitter, because that's how you can speak with us and interact and give great takes on Kelly Olynyk and how he's a distraction, maybe even to the fans. So
we welcome you to talk every time.
Yeah,
you can talk every time, JFA.
Yeah, it was great. I love every single time we seem like we get someone new in here, and I actually love when we talk over each other, because that just means that we don't agree, and that's the real reason we're here. So thanks for listening, and we will catch you guys next time. Go Jazz.
Go Jazz.
Go Jazz.